Hello, everybody. It is your Uncle Fish back again for School Fish Art Stream. J-Man wants a Gatling gun on the end of his tail. Oh my goodness. J-Man says the tail's where you put all the heavy artillery. Damn. Said he used to have a howitzer on the end of his tail. Hey there, everybody. It is your ever-loving Uncle Fish back again for an action-packed new episode of School of Fish. We are back after quite the hiatus. I apologize for everybody that missed me. I've been missing you too. Trust me on that. Been a minute. Got a little bit busy with everything going on. Had to finish up the Mighty Caw campaign 1 through 4. Had to launch Alice Lost in Wonderland. All that stuff. Been very, very busy. Been working on client books as well. Been doing all kinds of cool stuff. And I really wanted to get on here and take a second to show y'all some of the stuff that I've been doing lately. Now, this is going to be a different episode. This is pre-recorded, so I can't directly respond to your messages and whatnot. I apologize, Kyron. You can still get in the comments and act a fool. It's absolutely fine. And honestly, it's expected. But just to let you know, this is pre-recorded. It's part of a new process that we're setting up so that we can have new content coming out regularly without absolutely just killing your Uncle Fish. So anyway, that's what we're doing. And this episode is directly about making custom brushes, how you make a custom brush, why you would want to make a custom brush, and we're going to walk through making a custom brush. And let me show you what we're doing here. Ba, 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 ba. Turn it on. Look at that, boys and girls, theys and thems. Check it out. This is a page from Night Watch, which is a new book that I'm doing for Greg K. Mokwin. And really cool. It's following MMA fighter and everything. It starts out in this big MMA match and in this big giant stadium. And it is a giant stadium. How we draw the stadium is a whole nother thing. But when you get in here and really look around, there are thousands of little spectators in here. Shane is absolutely going to kill me when she gets this to flat. She's going to hate me. I'm going to tell her, you ain't got to separate out every little person. Just the blocks of people is fine. But when you really get in there, it is a whole lot of separate individual people doing separate individual little things and, looking in different directions. Leaning in different directions, pointing at things, talking, walking. This is a crowd brush that I have been using for a while to do scenes like this when they're really small. I've also done some much more complex brushes that have much more complicated people in them. But for things that are really small like this and really scattered in the background, this one has worked really wonderful. It has worked gangbusters. I am going to make a new page. New. That's fine. Core time lapse is fine. Don't need multiple pages. Okay. All right. We are going to start a new page to work on here. Whoops. And let me see if I have this brush or something similar to it on here already. Let's see. Yep, I do. Okay. So I'm going to make that black. Now, this brush will randomly stamp different people that I've drawn in there. It's doing some of the same ones over and over again here. But it will let me just come along and fill in a crowd really quickly. Oh, this is the last custom one I made, and it only has a couple of people in it. I did that one as an example to show somebody. And okay, so that's not exactly the brush I was thinking about, but it gets the point across. Shows you kind of how it works. Hold on a second. You know what? In the newsletter that came out this month, for School of Fish, there's going to be a link to a custom brush and everything that we're going to build on here today. So let me show you how to import a custom brush when you have that. Okay. we're going to try one method that usually works. Pull this down here so you can see it. And I am going to go to where I know the brush is. It would probably be in your download file, but that's not what I'm doing. Oh, that's the wrong drive. That's why I can't find it in there. It's the wrong drive. So I've got several backup drives connected. Fish brushes, fish custom brushes. All right, we're going to take fish crowd B. We're going to grab it. We're going to drag it over here. And then we are just going to come over here into the folder that we want to put it in Clip Studio, and we're going to release it. And 9 times out of 10, that'll work. And it will download that brush directly into Clip Studio. No hassle, no muss, no fuss. Every rare once in a while, it might give you a problem with the brush, but usually it does not. And now, let me take that brush and set it at a size. Oh, that's a different crowd. But you can see that crowd is a lot more detailed. It has a lot more complex drawing of people in it. That brush works absolutely. We build it the same way that we're going to build this one that we're doing. It just takes a little longer because you're doing more complicated drawings. Let me see. Can I find the other one? Okay, well, yeah, that was crowd B. That's crowd C. That's probably the one that I wanted. You have to name your brushes properly. Okay, that was one of them, but that's not the exact one I wanted. But it'll work. It'll work. It's good enough for the chicks we date. All right, and this one sprinkles out all these different people. This one's using like a spraying effect to scatter them around for putting people in the background, like walking around in a crowd scene in New York City or whatever. And if we needed them in silhouette, that's what I built this brush for. But nonetheless, that shows you the kind of thing that we're going to do. And you can build your custom brush to work whichever way you want. You can have it spraying out your custom effect. You can have it drawing it in a streak. You can have it drawing it like a ribbon. You can have it can do all kinds of different things. But anyway, let's just start on a custom brush. All right. What I'm going to do to make it easy, and you might want to do the same thing, that is perfectly normal. Let me open up a new tab, and I'm going to bring it down here so you can see what I'm doing. And I am going to search crowds. And I'm just going to do an image search. I'm just looking for images of people standing and walking. Ideally, I would like to get whole bodies if I could, not just heads and shoulders. And let's look for, I don't know what that's going to give us. Crowds full body. It could give us fat people in crowds. Okay. I mean, that's not bad. It's getting closer. All right. This will work. Now, this is a copyrighted image, of course. We can't directly use this, but it can give us some inspiration to work from. So, all right, I'm going to copy that image, and then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to paste it. And I'm going to right click on that image. I'm going to go to convert layer. I'm going to take it from a raster layer to an image material layer. Just so now I can grab it and move it around and do whatever I want to do with it. All right. So we're going to use this not as a hard outline for drawing these people exactly as they are. We're just going to use this as an inspirational guide to make our people look roughly the way we want them to look. Now, one thing I have found out about doing these custom brushes, and this is something that you need to pay attention to your Uncle Fishy on, brothers and sisters, boys and girls, days and then, listen up, turn on your listening ears, okay? Now, when you are drawing things like this, and say you're drawing people that are going to be different sizes because all these people aren't going to be the same height. Maybe you want some kids sprinkled in that are half as tall. Maybe you want to have some hobbits sprinkled in among your orcs, and you want your orcs taller than your humans and whatnot. Whatever kind of brush you're doing, if you need things to be different sizes, if you need some of the bugs to be big and giant, and you need some of the bugs to be little bitty tiny, you need to draw them in relation to each other the right size. Like you draw the child this big and you draw the person this big. But if when you make a selection of those characters and you turn them into an object, if I just select around the child, when the brush paints the person that I selected around and then the child, let's say that's half the size, it's going to make that child the same size as the other person. It's going to want to stamp all those pieces of the image at the same size. So it doesn't really matter what size we make them. It's going to want to make them the size that we selected. So to counter that, what I have figured out to do is either make the image take up the whole size of your page. You know, like sometimes I'll even make a custom small little page that's just roughly the size of a person that I want, and then export that whole page. Or what I'll also do is set up outlines sometimes, set up guidelines that I can select from. And that's what we're going to do here. That's how we're going to do this one. Turn that back on so you can see what we're doing. So, okay, because we're going to be doing a selection, we can make these guys a little bit smaller. That'll be fine. It's not going to be the end of the world. I'm trying to think how I did the original ones, and I want them to blend in fairly well. Okay, so we're going to click up here in the ruler, and we're going to drag down a guideline, and we're going to bring it down here to the bottom of the image. I don't want to put it right at their feet, because if I put it right at their feet, then every time I get anywhere close to that line, it's going to make my drawing line snap to that ruler, and I don't want to do that. But I want it to snap to that ruler when I'm trying to make a selection. You'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. All right, now I'm going to click and drag another line, and I'm going to leave it here up over their heads. So when I go to make a selection now, let me grab my selection tool. When I go to make a selection, I can click and drag, and it's going to snap to that outline. So if I select that guy right there, his selection is going to be that tall. And then if I want to do this lady here and she's shorter than everybody else, when I make that selection from the same guidelines, she will come out relative in height in the final product to everybody else. And that is what we want. We want short people to be short. We want tall people to be tall. Give me 1 second. I have an alarm going off somewhere. And we're back. All right. Sorry about that. Happens to the best of us sometimes. And I are the best of us. All right, so that's going to help us keep all of our selections the same size when we go to register all the images that we're going to draw of different people. It's going to help us keep them the same size so that they come out looking consistent. The taller people are taller, the shorter people are shorter, and it doesn't end up forcing the short people to be the same height as the tallest people. You want that variation in this brush, so we're going to make our selection area the same size. All right. Now, above everything, I'm going to make a new raster layer. This is the way I do it. Your results may vary. This is the way I do it. This is the way that's been working for me so far. You need to turn the layer to either gray or monochrome. I'm going to do gray. When you set it to monochrome like this, black and white, it is setting it to your, what is it called? It is setting it to your foreground color or your main color, and it is setting it to your secondary color. So when we do it in this grayscale like this, we can put as many tones of gray as we want to in there, and whatever our main color and our secondary color is, when we use the brush, it will stamp it in that color. Sometimes you will really want that effect, so it's a good thing to be able to have. I usually use it in straight black and white because I'm using it for ink usually, but you never know. You absolutely want the main part of these people to be, the inside of them to be white within the black outlines, because if we just did a black outline, when you stamped them over somebody else, you would see their legs through their torso and stuff of the people behind them. You don't want that. We want them to be fully opaque, white in the middle, so that'll block out the outlines of the feet and legs and stuff behind them. So you'll see how it goes here in a second. So we made a layer on top of it. We set the expression of color to gray. And now I am just going to go ahead and flood the whole page white. Can't see anything. I'm going to drop the opacity a little bit so that I can, make out the shapes and stuff of the bodies, because this brush is going to be really simple. This brush isn't going to be complicated. I am going to 80. Let's see what that. Let's go 60. Okay, that's better. All right. Now, I am not going to sit here and trace directly over this guy. I could. You could if you wanted to. I don't want to do that because I'm making a new image off of this copyrighted image. I don't want mine to even be close enough that it's going to trigger somebody to think that I ripped off their image. So I don't want anybody coming back at me later saying, hey, wait a minute, that's the guy out of my, he might not have a face, but that looks like the guy off of my photograph I took. So I'm going to use this guy as my reference, and I'm going to come over here and draw a guy in roughly the same position. All right, his hands are going to come down to about there. Got his hands in his pockets. His feet are going to come down about there. His crotch is about there. All right. I'm just going to draw a little bit and look over and see. If I make a mistake, I'm going to come back in with white. I'm not going to erase, because then I would erase through my white, and I don't want to do that. I'm not going to put too much detail into this guy, because I don't need there to be a lot of detail, because these, like I said, these are just background guys. But this way, it really helps me come up with a cool looking character quickly, and I don't have to fight too hard to get the proportions right, because I have a reference to look at, but it's not as stiff as if you just like straight traced it. And his head came out a little too small, So we're going to erase his head and I'm going to give his head a little bit more of a turn over one direction. But there we go. That's going to be good enough for the crowd work guy that I need right now. Okay, so boom, there's one guy. All right, here's a guy with his hands folded. He's a little bit shorter. So I'm going to make a little mark for the top of his head, the bottom of his head, his shoulders, where his arms cross. A little notch for the crotch. That's what she said. Need a little notch for the crotch. Whoops. That slipped on the finger there a little bit. Okay, there we go. And now I'm going to just draw in head, neck. It's got some real squared shoulders. Okay, got a couple little tick marks and stuff to clean up there with some white. Because remember, I painted the whole page white. All right, and now these are not going to look like the other guys that I drew too much, but that's okay. This is going to be a whole new brush that we're making here. Oh, undo. All right. And let's do this dude over here too. He's a happy fella. Undo a little bit. And we're just using him as a rough reference. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is a small brush for little bitty background people. I'm putting way more effort into this than is necessary for what this particular brush is going to be used for, but that's fine. Whoops. Couldn't see what his feet were doing because it's white on white. I'm going to have to kind of make up some of his other foot here, but that's okay. All right. All right, we'll get this lady in here. So that's one of the things that I really liked about this image was that it had ladies in it. I don't have any idea what her hands are doing. So I'm going to have one hand in her pocket and the other hand smoking a cigarette. That hand looks weird, so I'm going to fix it. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect because the real key to this is doing a whole lot of people and they blend together and it looks way more complicated than it is, way quicker. Okay, so we've got several people, several different sizes drawn there. We're going to do more in a minute. All right, we're going to turn that all the way up. Now, the reason that I went in and made the whole page white to start with is specifically so I can come in now with my selection tool, my magic wand, and I can select all of that outside white area, and then I'm going to also get the parts inside of their arms right there. And now I can, oh no, I got too much on him. Okay. I have my lasso tool with it set to remove. It got inside this dude. There was a big enough gap somewhere, which isn't surprising. I leave little gaps all over the place. Oh yeah, there's a big gap on his shoes on both sides. So totally understandable how it got in there. And it got in him too. Because he's got a big giant hole in the bottom of his foot, Fishy. What'd you expect, crazy man? Can't go leaving great big holes in the outlines and not expect a selection tool. Look at that big gap in his arm there. It looks cool for a drawing, but it's not good for a selection, Fishy. What was he thinking? Here you trying to teach people how to do what you do, and you're doing what you do wrong. Crazy, Fishy. All right, so we got all that selected. Now I'm going to go to Edit and Convert Brightness to Opacity, and essentially I just deleted all that. I use Convert Brightness to Opacity so if I got any of the black in the selection area there, like I'm going to make a selection here that I know is going inside the black of his arm there. And I'm going to grab some of the black of his leg too. And now we're going to zoom in. If I just deleted it, it would cut that away. When I go to Convert Brightness to Opacity, it leaves the black outline and just gets rid of the white, which is really what I want. One thing I can tell you is when you see some of these little things, like these little bits of white sticking out here, it's not a big deal. Doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but I can tell you from experience, it is those little things that you didn't pay attention to the first time that are going to drive you absolutely nuts down the road. You're going to see them over and over again and be like, dang it, why didn't I just take the time to fix it when I made the brush? So take the time to do your brush right. Some of these brushes that I've been doing here lately, I literally spent an entire day working on the brush for those complicated people, and I made like 30 or 40 different unique people to put in that brush, and then it also will flip them left and right horizontally, so you'll get two different versions of them, and then it spits them out randomly. So that makes for a whole lot of people in the background. It was worth it to spend my time making it right and know that I have a really good brush that I can reuse for a long time. Take your time, do it right the first time. Okay, I'm going to turn off everything else. Now we just got these guys on a gray, a layer where the expression color is set to gray. On one layer, nothing else. Now when I go to make a selection, even if I use the lasso tool, it'll click to that line, and then I can come in here and select around them because I only want to get one guy at a time. I'm even going to cut out some of this extra selection here. So, and now I've got that one guy selected. And then I'm going to go to Edit. I'm going to go to Register Material, Image, and then this menu is going to pop up, okay? Now we have to name these guys something particular so we'll be able to find them again. Now I'm going to turn on my caps lock, and I'm going to name it Fish Crowd C, and then I'm going to name him 0. It will be 01, but for right now, that's all I'm going to do. Then I'm going to select that. I'm going to hold Control C. So now it's set to my clipboard. Now I'm going to make it 1. Now, every time I go to do a new selection of this guy, of in all these guys that I'm going to draw for this brush, all I have to do is Control V, and it'll put the whole beginning of that name, and then I just have to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever number I'm on. That makes it so much faster to put this stuff in. All right, so it's Fish Crowd C, because I've already done 2 of these brushes before. Fish Crowd C 01, and we're going to use it for brush tip shape, and then we're going to go over, we're going to choose a place to put it, we're going to go to materials, and we're going to go to download. That's just where I stick it because it's easier for me to find them in the download folder, excuse me. And then we're going to click on OK, and boom, it's registered. Now, if we did our job right, here he is at the top of the download folder right there. There's a whole bunch of other things in here that I've done as well, but he's right there at the top of the download folder. Now we're going to deselect. We're going to come back in with the lasso selection again. We're going to grab this guy. All right, there we go. We got him selected. And now we're going to go to edit and register material, image. And now because I copied that last time, I can Control V, boom. Now add the 2, title's done. And this will keep them all listed together when I go searching for them later. Use as brush tip, go to all materials, download, okay. And now he appears at the top of the list. I like opening this download folder because if I forget what number I'm on, I can look over here to the corner and see, oh, the last one was number 2. So I need to make this one number 3 because I'm really bad with numbers. I will forget them in a heartbeat. Okay. I'm going to start from my little guideline. I'm going to make my selection down. I'm going to go between them. I drew them very close to each other. I shouldn't have drawn them that close. Back up to my guideline. So because I'm using those guidelines, all my selections are the same height, so they're all going to show up together at the same relative height to each other. Edit, register material, image, and now Control V, and this is, I can look over here and know number 2 was the last one I did, so I know this one's number 3. Uses brush tip, download folder, okay. And then boom, it sticks him right there up at the top. I'm telling you, these guidelines are a lifesaver. I have messed up enough brushes trying to figure out like why some of them just keep coming up too big when I wanted them to be little bitty bugs and they come up as giant bugs. It's because I didn't select them this way. That was file. I need edit, register material, image, Control V, and I look over here. Last one was number 3, so this is number 4. Use brush tip shape. Download folder is where we're going to stick it. Boom. There we go. All right. Now, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to close that folder for a second. We're going to duplicate this layer, turn one off, and now I'm going to hit delete, which just clears that page. I'm going to open up my image again. I'm going to grab this image. I'm going to slide it over a little bit. Oh, I like that lady there. Okay, I want to make sure both of these ladies are on the page. And now I'm going to come back up here to my layer that I'm working on. We're going to do the same thing. Now I still have my original layer with my original drawings. I don't want to get rid of that. I will have need for it later, and you'll see what I'm going to do with it. But okay, here we go. We got a new layer again. We're going to go to the white. We're going to hit the paint bucket tool to just fill the whole page in. We're going to drop that transparency down a little bit so that we can see what we're doing. We're going to go back to black as our main color. I'm going to grab my regular rusty nib pen. I'm going to catch my headphone cable on there. Whoops, that didn't come out looking like the source material. And working close to your reference image, but working separate is going to keep it from being so close. Like, it's clearly inspired by, yes, but it's not a direct one for one rip off. Like, I can and will make changes along the way a lot of times to make it fit what I need out of a brush. Because, like, I may need her to be facing a different direction, or I may need a brush that is the back of her because I need the backs of people, which actually is a brush that I do need to make. That would be the back of said crowd. Now this time, because I had trouble with the outline on the other one, I'm trying to make sure that I get the outline covered. All right, we're going to do that lady. We're going to give her some little bit bigger hair. Whoops. We're going to give her way too big a head if we're not careful. Going to give her a little bitty old skinny neck because she's just a girl. Just a girl living in a man's world. That's all she is. She's got a little sassy shoulder up because she's got that old hand on her hip. She says, "Look what I'm working with there, Betty Lou." Betty Lou just looked on in stunned silence because Betty Lou knew she couldn't compete. Now I'm just going to make sure that I got all my outlines. And we want them to have a fairly similar weight and everything. That's why I like to draw everybody the same size as much as I can. And what really helps, I've found, is to do this all at one time. If I were to break it up and to come back later and stuff, and draw them on different pages and images, this would work out much differently. Okay, now I'm going to move this around, try and find, okay, we'll stick this lady here in the middle. Well, I don't want to put her right in the middle. I'm going to put her to the side so I can put her drawing in the middle. All right. She's a wee bit taller, so we're going to make her a wee bit taller. You know what? I'm going to give her some more obvious hair. Whoops. I thought I clicked on the white, but I didn't. I'm going to give her some more obvious hair there so it's no wonder that she's a girl. I'm like, why is that boy so skinny? Why is that boy got bosoms? Why's that boy got childbirthing hips, they asked. I don't know how to draw, apparently. You know what? I don't like the boring stance. So I'm going to have... I know she's probably got her feet together trying to look skinny. But I'm going to make it a little more interesting and have one leg out to the side. There we go. All right, now we got 3 ladies in 3 different cool poses here. Just trying to even up a little bit of that line weight. I'm going to pop on the other people real quick. Okay, that looks pretty consistent line weight wise. All right, now I'm going to make that fully opaque. And now we're going to do the same thing we did before. I'm going to grab the selection tool. I'm going to grab like the inside of her arm and over here, and then the background. Looks like it did pretty good that time. I'm going to increase the selection by 2 pixels just to spread into that black just a little bit, and then go to edit, convert brightness to opacity. Boom, it's transparent again. And now we're going to go through the exact same process that we went through a second ago and grab my little selection tool, and I'm going to use my guidelines to make sure my selection tool is the same height as it's always been. And then register material, image. I'm going to control V. Look. Oh, dang it. I'm going to cancel because I forgot to open this up so I know what number I'm on. All right. Go back, edit, register material, image, control V. I was on 4, so now it's going to be number 5. Use it for a brush tip because we're going to make a brush out of it. Put it in the download folder. Boom. And there she is. All right. And we're going to deselect, and then we're going to do the same thing for Miss Attitude in the middle here. And edit, register material, image. This is monotonous. It's doing a lot of the same thing over and over again, which is where doing things like copying and pasting the title become real handy time savers instead of having to type it all out 100 times. We use it as a brush tip. Download. Okay. I literally, when I do this, I do it so often because it's repetitive making images like this for a brush. I've even thought about making a custom shortcut on the desktop here for it, so I don't have to waste time going to edit and register material, image. I could just have a shortcut for it. All right, and we are on number 6. So this is number 7. Brush tip. You know what? Download. Okay. You know what? We're going to do that. We're going to come up here. We're going to right click on that. We're going to go command bar settings. And then we are going to go to edit and register material, image. And we're going to go to add. And now we're just going to add that right there. So the next time we want to do it, all we got to do is click on that. And boom, it takes us right there. All right. So now I'm going to duplicate this layer. I'm going to turn off one of them. And then I'm going to hit delete to clear it again. And we're going to do it all over again. Doing it and doing it and doing it again. Now, one cool thing that we can do that I haven't showed you yet is, all right, let's turn that off. Let's leave that on for now. Turn that layer on. And then we're going to duplicate that layer, turn the first one off. So now we can come in here and see what we're doing. Now, we can change these guys. We can make these into new guys doing new things. We could shuffle and cut some things together. Like, for instance, these 2 guys are standing 2 different directions, all right? They're standing 2 different ways. I could come in here and move that top part of his body up over here out of the way and deselect, and then I could come over here and grab this part of his body and move him over here, and now just see what I need to do to patch that up and make it work. Like for instance, that angle would change just a little bit, and his arms would change here. This arm would be in front now. And this arm would be in the background. And there we go. All right. And let's see. I think that guy will work. Let's select him and bring him down here. All right, now I'm gonna go to the lasso fill and fill in the rest of his body here with white. And then I'm gonna come back in with my drawing tip. Whoops. And there we go. We've made, okay, that's a little wonky. Let's, you know what? That whole arm is just not at the right angle anymore. Whoops. All right, let's delete that. Let's come in. Whoops. Don't refer to multiple layers, just refer to this. There we go. That's better. Now, see, we've made two unique characters now very quickly out of two guys that we already had. And you can really expound on that when you're doing this and shuffle it up and make a whole lot of different people out of it. But, all right, let's go back to the selection tool. Selection tool. I'm going to draw a selection down here for this guy. Going from guideline to guideline, turn off that background image. I'm gonna click my new little quick key, boom, there we go. That's gonna save so much time. I'm gonna hit Control Paste. I'm gonna check we were on number 7, so now we are on number 8. Use as brush tip, download folder, boom. Deselect, do it again. And we could like change their arms, make them move in different directions. We could put them in a hoodie. We could do whatever we want to make them different and unique. But this is just a real quick down and dirty showing you a way to do it. All right, I'm going to click my new shortcut, or you could go to Edit, Register Material. And I'm going to, oh, almost forgot, Control V. And this is number 9. Use it for a brush tip, download folder. Okay. All right. Now, we've got enough to start with. The more of these guys we make, the better this brush gets. I don't want you to be bored watching me do this forever. But I also wanted to do it several times so that you would see how it works, and hopefully the repetitiveness of it will help sink that in your brains. All right, I'm going to make a new layer to draw on, and we are going to make a new brush. And to make a new brush, we got to start from somewhere. So if you find any old brush that you like the way it's been working and whatnot for you before, I'm just going to take this one. I'm going to duplicate it. I am going to title this one Fish crowd C brush 01. All right. Okay. All right. We have made a new brush with it, and it's still got the same old pieces saved in it. So I'm going to click over here on the settings for that tool, and then I'm going to go down to brush tip, and then all of these guys that are in here, I'm going to delete because I don't need them. Don't show me that again. Delete, delete, delete. And this is a duplicate, so I'm not destroying the brush that I did have. I'm just getting rid of what I don't need on this brush. And you could pick any brush. It doesn't matter. The fewer things you have to delete on it, the better. But there's so many settings that can be changed. I want to grab something that's similar to the brush that I'm working from. And you can absolutely take any of these brushes that you get from me and rebuild them into your own custom brushes with your own custom images on them. That is absolutely fine and dandy, like lemon candy. You can make it your own. You could redraw all these little characters and stuff your own way. That would be simply divine. I hope you do. I hope this inspires you to make a whole lot of custom brushes. All right. Okay. Now that we're down to the last one, I can click on that. And now I can go in here in the search bar and type fish. And all of the custom images that I've made for my own brushes now show up, like all of these bees and bottles and the black silhouetted people, the highly detailed people, all of that stuff. And all right, that is all crowd B, lots and lots and lots of crowd B. Now we're getting down to crowd C. This is the one that we're doing right now. So I'm going to click on one of those and click OK, and now it has stuck him in there. Now, if we just use that brush as is right now, it will draw. Oh, I didn't want it to be a line. Dang it. I thought I had turned that off, but I did not. Okay. We're going to have to start somewhere else. I'm going to need a different brush. So I'm going to copy this one. Fish, crowd, brush, C, 02. Okay. And I'm going to delete that subtool because I don't need it. Now, see, that's one of the things I was saying about get one that works the way you wanted. I had picked a line tool that makes in a straight line or a curved line. I thought I had turned that off, but I didn't, and I don't know how else to do it. So we're going to start over. All right. And same thing, we're going into settings. We are going into brush tip. And we are going to delete all of these extra images that we don't need. This is where it gets fascinating, watching me redo stuff because I didn't think it through correctly. Watch me be stupid in real time. Aren't you lucky? All right, now we're down to the last one. Now we could type in fish, or we could type in crowd C. Let's see. What did that get us? Well, it just got us the crowds anyway. That's a lot less to go through. Okay, crowd C starts here. All right, we're going to put that guy in. Okay, that is not doing what I want yet. Don't want him spraying. Stroke. Uh, brush size. Don't want it to change with pen pressure on this one. Ink. 100. There we go. All right, so now it is just stamping this guy out over and over and again. But you see, it's flipping him back and forth because under brush tip, let's see, I've got random on flip horizontal. I have it set to random. So it will just randomly flip him at different times, which gives us a whole nother version of him looking in a different direction. If you want all of your crowd looking one direction because you want to draw them all side by side looking that way from the stadium, which would be really awesome, then you wouldn't want to do that. But that's what I'm doing because it's my brush. I can do what I want to. Build your own brush with them all looking to the right if you want. If you want, then turn that off and they won't flip. But I want them to randomly flip. If it's something that it doesn't matter if it flips upside down, like these are people standing, you don't want some of them on their heads, you could do that vertical too. You could have the angle that they stamp at be random, but I want them all standing upright. Okay, now I need to add new things. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to type in crowd again. Nope, I'm going to type in Krawada. So we get down to just the crowds. The thing's saved with the name crowd. I'm going to go down. I made a whole lot of those guys. Now, the first time you can only put one image in. Now I can select number 2 and then go all the way down to number 9 holding shift and it'll select all of them. And I can add them all at once. I could only do that once I have the first one in there. You can't do it the first time for some reason, but you can do it after that. Now, when I draw a line, it's randomly putting in all those different people and move with me now. Let me shrink the brush a little bit. Now you can see it's randomly sprinkling out men, women in there, and it's flipping them randomly to make them look like different people. Like, see, over here she's facing one way, over here she's facing the other. But because we made our selections all the same height, you can see he's tall, she's shorter. It's keeping them all in relation to each other, and their outlines all look the same. Like if we made one person really short and one person really tall, and we drew them in the same outlines, when it forces the short person to be the same height, suddenly their outlines are going to be way thicker than everything else. And you'll see that in certain brushes that I did before I learned this fact. So making sure our selection areas are going to be the same height, that is key to making this work really well the first time. And now they all have the same kind of outline to them. And you can add effects if you need to and go in and like put a stroke on the whole layer if you want, and you can make it just a little bit darker, or you could really go ham on it and really outline them if you wanted to. I don't know why you would, but maybe you would. But sometimes just a little bit thicker outline on all of them really helps make them seem like a cohesive unit, and then all the little details seem even finer, and I like that look sometimes. And now every time we come by, see, because they're white on the inside and not transparent, they're overlapping the people in front of them so that we're not seeing other people's legs in front of them. And I can just go along and boom, we've filled up a whole crowd full of people there. Wham bam, look at that. We've got a big giant audience filled in right there. It's pretty freaking cool, right? And you can do this with like line brushes and stuff too, so that you could draw a line, and whichever angle you need to put that line at, it will follow. You can make those curves if you needed to. You can do this to any brush that you have. But anyway, this is how we built this crowd brush. Y'all got to follow along and make it with me. This brush is going to be available free in the newsletter that went out at the first of the month. If you've signed up for the newsletter and stuff, you've already gotten it. There should be links available free on the Patreon now where you can download this brush and play with it, make it your own, make new images of characters to go along with this. Follow the instructions I did and add as many characters as you want to it. It's really fun. The possibilities are endless. If you spend a day making these intricate little characters for this thing, you will have unlimited uses out of this brush that can just do amazing things. Anyway, this is going to be free to everybody. I'm going to put some of my other brushes with people on them, like the lines and the curves and things like that. Maybe even my really detailed people brush. I'm going to put some of these available on the paid tier. So if you want to sign up for $3 or $5, you'll be able to get access to this stuff as well. Or sign up for $10. You'll get access to all of these brushes, and you'll get a freaking comic book shipped to you every month. This month's book, I'm just about to ship out Green Zone 1 for last month. This will be Green Zone 2. If you already have a copy of Green Zone 2, let me know, and I'll make sure to get you a variant cover that you don't have. So hit me up. Let me know which cover you'd like to have. Personally, I'd recommend the Drew Moss, but they're going to go fast. There's the Chris Thomas variant that I really love. There's the Mike Watson variant that came out cool. There's even the Police Academy 2 variant for issue 2 that I did that I think is really funny. All of those variant covers are available if you've already got it, so check that out. I hope this helps. I hope you've learned a little something. Go back and watch it. You can learn how to make your own brushes. We'll do another lesson soon about how to make ribbon brushes, which are really cool for doing things like Doc Ock arms and bobbed wire and razor wire and pipes. And oh my God, the pipe brushes, the wire brushes. If you like sci-fi, baby, you need to tune back in, because how to make wires and brushes and conduit and all this stuff just out of just boom, boom, boom. There's a pipe. There's a pipe. There's a wire. There's a cable. There's a chain. Oh my God. It's so freaking cool, and it's so easy. You need to learn how to do this. Pay attention, learn. I hope this helps you get better at your craft. And remember, keep hustling, keep working hard, and no matter what, your Uncle Fishy loves you, baby. Roof, 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 roof. I hear the dogs. Hello, everybody. It is your Uncle Fish back again for School of Fish Art Stream. J-Man wants a Gatling gun on the end of his tail. Oh my goodness. J-Man says the tail's where you put all the heavy artillery. Yeah. Said he used to have a howitzer on the end of his tail.